And our team coverage right now turns to Davie.
And that's where we find Local 10's Amy Viteri. I know you talked to some folks from the South Florida Water Management District, and they are working hard to pump some of that water out.
That's right. A regional manager here telling us today that they have been working throughout the day to continue lowering canal levels because they want to make sure they have the capacity as this water keeps receding, coming back into the drainage system. They want to keep having the room to move it out. They say the system, the pumps, the canals all worked exactly as they should from the checks, based on the checks they've been doing throughout the day. But as I'm sure you could tell from some of the images we have been seeing in certain communities, there was just too much rain that came down in way too short a period of time.
When you have large amounts of rain in short order, that's always a concern.
And that's exactly what happened throughout portions of southern Broward County Wednesday.
You're always going to have street flooding and ponding, especially in low-lying areas like we're seeing during this storm.
Armando Villaboy is a regional representative for the South Florida Water Management District. He says the pumps were working throughout the storm and canals were not at capacity. But in low-lying coastal communities, the rain fell too fast and there was way too much of it.
After the fact, the district system will serve to relieve those areas and move that water out quicker so there's no long-term standing water issues. But there are some low-lying areas that did see significant flooding.
Water was receding Thursday, but Villaboy explains the process takes time. This shopping center in Davie was largely empty and still underwater Thursday as cars slowly navigated through.
All the district canals are currently receding, so we are moving that water out during low tide to make sure that those canals have capacity to receive some of that water moving east out of the district system.
But in some municipalities with drainage systems, Villaboy says Wednesday's rainfall amounts far exceeded capacity.
Those systems are not built to handle 10 to 13 inches. No municipal systems really are outside of canal systems and or pump systems.
And as you know, some areas saw even more than that. 13 inches was not the highest level we saw yesterday, so this really was an overwhelming event for so many communities. One other challenge, she says, some of these communities, particularly all the way east, are simply farther away from some of these canal systems. They're not so close, hence it takes longer for them to see a little bit of relief. All of these complicating issues, but he says residents, people living here in southern Broward County should see some more relief in the next several hours, and low tide is expected late tonight in the overnight hours. For now, we're live in Davie. Amy Viteri, Local 10 News.
Yeah, we need some relief. And the canals being lowered, is that just mainly Broward, southern Broward area, or are we going to see some of that also happening in Dade? Do you know?
You know, they didn't mention Dade, but they did, except for the fact that they said they took proactive steps in Dade a couple of days ago when we were seeing heavy rains there, and they said they do believe that it made an impact. So this is something they do in anticipation of any storm. They knew that this storm was coming. They did say that the sheer amount of rainfall that we saw was more than what most people expected. They did say that by doing that, by making sure their levels were adequate in Dade, it did help the situation there. But of course, as you know, the past 24 hours, it really has been Broward that saw the bigger impact.
Yeah, now we'll see what the impact will be to the bay, because usually when they lower those canals, that water goes into the bay. It's not the cleanest water, and then we always see the repercussions of that manifest
It's a
in our
domino
bay.
effect. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Amy.